some paper cup weaving today. You're going to need a paper cup, some yarn of any color, and a pair of scissors. Now our first step is we want to cut all the way down to as far down as we can on the cup, and we want an odd number of cuts. So for younger kids, this might be a little difficult to do, so parents, you might want to jump in and help them. You need an odd number of slices around the cup. You want to keep them as straight as possible and as evenly spaced. So my cup has a lot. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slices around my cup. For younger kids too, you could take this down to 7 or even 5. You just don't get as much room on the inside to put things when you're done. So it's gonna be a little flimsy and floppy. We wanna try to not bend this as much as possible though. So our next step is to start with our string color of choice. And you're going to loop it around one of those sections and then double knot it in the front. This way we know where our starting point is, and the string stays in place. Now this section right here, that's over the cup. Okay, so we're going to go around the cup. So the next section we're going to go under or behind the cup. So if you look, I'm just going behind that flap, and I want to pull it all the way down and pull it so it is straight, okay? It's important that you keep pulling so these aren't loose, but you don't want to pull so tight that you see the cup collapse in. So now we have over, under. We're going to go over this next section, so we'll see the string, and then we're going to go under or behind the next section. So you can start seeing a pattern. This is where we started. We know because we see the string. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, again, you want to pull it so it's tight, and you want to make sure that it's pushed down as far down as it can go. Now you'll see that we're back to the beginning. This one's going to be over, and a lot of people go, wait, it's over and it's supposed to be opposite. Okay, well, we're back to the beginning. So you got to think of your over and under as a big spiral going up. So you're going to go ahead and go over this one and behind this one. So now that we're back to that starting point, you're going to kind of have the opposite. So this one doesn't have one over, so I'm going to go over now, and I'm going to go behind, again, push it down. Okay, so once I get all the way around, again, and if you have these little hiccups that happen when we cut, it's really easy just to cut those off, or else you kind of tend to get caught and tangled on them each time. So over, under, make sure you push down, over, and I'm back to the beginning again. Gonna go under, make sure everything's pulled tight, and push down. Now we should have a line kind of going all the way around it. So now that first row that we did, we're at our starting point. You're going to go over, under, over, under. Again, push down. So now you can see a pattern of 2, 1, 2, 1, and then we'll go 3, 2. So hopefully by now you've kind of gotten the hang of it. You need to go over, under, and push down. I found that when my students are doing this in my classroom, once they get the hang of it, they don't even want to stop. One thing that you'll notice is if you look inside the cup, it should start making a pattern right up against it. You see that string that's going straight across? I can tell right away that I skipped a slot. So I just can bring it out and continue again. So that is how it should look on the inside. I'm ready to switch colors. I want to leave a little bit of an end of my string to add my new color to. So to do this, I'm just going to double knot. You make an X wrap one around the other. So you have just like you tie your shoes, make a new X, wrap one string around and put it through the hole, and then you're going to pull all 4 edges of the string in opposite directions to make sure that you have a good knot so it doesn't slip out. This is the hardest part for a lot of people, is getting that knot, because you can see even as I'm pulling, especially because my strings are kind of 2 different strings, it wants to pull. So you just want to, before you start weaving, make sure that when you pull on it, you're not undoing your knot. And then you just continue weaving. Make sure that you go in the direction that you already started, and that new string color will just begin appearing. People will ask me about is where these knots tie together, what do you do? There's a couple things you can do. You can leave them and just have little areas that hang out when you're done. That's fine. You can trim them. I would wait till you're completely done and be careful how close you trim it. I had somebody once trim it too close and it actually cut through the strings. Or another way you can hide them is if you kind of pull them up and then weave over them. So they'll actually be underneath your weaving. Again, if you look closely, you can see my weaving. You don't see the cup at all here, so you want everything nice and close. I still have a nice, neat pattern on the inside. Top lip of this, I'm going to go under, and then I'm going to go back around. Mine were a little uneven, and then I'm going to go back. This helps me fill in where it's uneven because it was really tall on the other side, but it also gives me a little security when I go to finish this off. All right, so now that I have filled the cup, I can go ahead and cut this off. And what I'm going to do is on the inside, I've wrapped this around this section a couple times. I'm going to go under a couple of sections on the inside. I went under, there's a loop. I'm going to push that through and pull tightly so I get a nice knot. And there you have a woven cup that you can then put things in. But we're going to do a few little embellishments on this before we call it done. I'm going to show you how to make a pom-pom to add to your ball. You're going to need a fork and some more of that string. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut about a 6-inch piece of string that you're going to put through the middle tines of the fork, leaving half of it hanging down on either side. Next, you're going to take that string, and it can be a different color. It doesn't have to match what you just put around the fork. And you're going to start it in the middle of the fork, leaving a little end. It kind of helps to hold that string in place. And then you're going to begin winding that string around the fork a lot. This way, if you don't do it enough, your ball won't be quite as fluffy. So wind it around that fork. Once you have that fork wrapped and you've overlapped a lot, you're going to go ahead and trim it from the yarn ball. And then you're going to take that original piece that you strung through and you're going to bring it up through the center and tie a knot as tightly as you can. This is what holds it all together. So push it up through the center, tie a knot, and pull as tightly as you can. Now, I don't completely tie it or double knot it while it's on the fork because sometimes it makes it really hard to slide off the fork. So I'm going to hold it as tightly as I can. You can work to get it off the fork. And
once you slid it off the fork, if your knot isn't quite
if you have somebody
tight enough, you can flip it over and tie it again on the other side, making it even
helps
tighter.
a lot. once you have that knot tied, you're going to slide your scissors through the loops of the yarn. I will say my scissors are not for cutting yarn, they're for cutting paper, so you'll see me switch midway through to a little better pair. So maybe test that out. This part gets a little tricky, so parents, you may want to help them cut through the loops. You want to cut through every loop, but make sure that you don't cut where you've tied that knot. Once you have all of those loops cut, you're going to fluff the ball to get it more into a circle, and then you're going to want to trim it so it's even. So you'll see that I have some pieces that are a little bit longer, some that are a little bit shorter. You want to watch that you don't pull too hard or it'll pull that string out from that knot that we tied earlier. So you're going to give it a little haircut after you have fluffed it. I found a couple other little loops that maybe I didn't catch quite so much. Now with those two ends that I left that I originally tied on, I'm going to use that to tie them on to my cup with the two strings that I left hanging from when we started the weaving, where I did the two strings tied together. Those are now going to get tied on to the two strings that I left of my pom-pom ball so my pom-pom can hang. I can't wait to see your cup weavings and how you decide to embellish them. Have fun!